a meditation, a 5 sense meditation. But I think what we'll do in place of that, because you all seem very present, it's about bringing our awareness and our attention into the room together. But I see everyone's attention and presence is already here. But what I'd like to do, and you were all mingling earlier, but if you could just turn to the person beside you, introduce yourself, just give a name, but I'd like you to also just take a moment to take them in, look them in the eye, maybe take in what they're wearing, and then offer them a compliment about themselves. Something genuine, something reasonable, and appropriate. Can we try that? T-shirt. I'm not sure what that means, but I like it. Again, there must be a story there. Red beret, purple scarf. Everyone looks. So, feels good to get a compliment. And it's also a demonstration of something that is an important entrepreneurial attribute, which I will touch on, which is coming up. Okay, so spirituality. Is it crucial? Is it crucial for entrepreneurial success? This is a question. So, what is spirituality? So this is something we'll touch on. Do people, show of hands, or do people feel like they are spiritual beings having a human experience? Do we feel spirited? Okay, good. And the others are skeptics? Maybe not so sure? Okay, we'll see if we can't change your mind. What is success? Right? So if spirituality is crucial for entrepreneurial success, how do we define success? And is it the same for everyone? What is it for you? Does anyone want to offer what they feel success is? Like, success for me is feeling inspired every day. Did you have?
I think that for me, success is every time that I realize that I'm happy somehow doing whatever, sometimes. I don't know if you think that success can be either a position in a company or have a lot of money, but just realize that I'm happy.
Being happy, day to day. Okay, we'll touch on that. And then, who are you? That's the question we're all asking, right? And specifically, who am I, and who am I to be speaking about any of this? So let's tackle that. So I'm T.W. Hawk. I wrote this book, How to Succeed on Purpose. It's a book of modern wisdom, inspirational truth for succeeding each and every day of your life. That's the idea, is to feel successful each and every day. Success not being some endpoint or a Google mappable point on a map. We have to chart our own course to success. And there's living principles for doing that I've captured in my book through my life experience. So my journey started with this movie ticket, so to speak. It's not a ticket to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, but it was a ticket to this movie called The Player. I grew up in New York. I always loved movies, loved a well-told story, but never really knew anything about the film business, as an enterprise that you could actually become involved in. So when I saw this movie, it changed everything. Because it follows a character named Griffin Mill, and he is a high-level studio executive, working at a studio, buying pitches, meeting with creative people, trying to put movies together, while trying not to get fired, and also trying not to get arrested, because in the story, he's actually accidentally murdered a writer. So avoid the police, avoid the electric chair, and avoid getting fired. So this immediately changed my life. I transformed everything.
You also murder someone.
What's that?
You also murder someone.
I did not murder someone. And as fate would have it, I became an advocate for writers, actually. So not only did I not kill a writer, but I became their #1 advocate. So it was inspiring. I moved out to Los Angeles. This was my first day working as an unpaid intern in Hollywood. I had no connections there. I networked out of my dorm room until I had lined up a job that paid me nothing and demanded 80 hours of work a week. But it was my start. So I became an advocate for writers, finding scripts, reading material, following my own inspirational muse, and I got behind projects that resulted in some Hollywood successes. My first one was a project called Rounders, which I read. It's about the underground poker world in New York City, and at the time I read it, and I was working out of my apartment in Hollywood. I sold one project before, but knew I had the wherewithal to make something happen, but hadn't really done it. And I read the script, and I told the writers, I'll make you guys $1 million this year. Of course, never having done it. I took the script to every agency in town. They all passed. They said it's too small, it's too independent, it'll never sell. So I took it out myself to the marketplace. And then I sold it in March, and we were on the set with Matt Damon, Edward Norton, John Turturro, John Malkovich that November. And that was Rounders. Soon to follow, 10 Things I Hate About You, which I also produced. Those writers became A-list talent that I managed, and they went on to write movies like Legally Blonde, and She's the Man, and The Ugly Truth, and The House Bunny. Whip It is another project that I got behind and put together, Repo Men, and many, many more. So this became kind of a waterfall of good vibrations, and led to deals in television. I was working in comic books, in publishing, all across media. Of course, people were interested in interviewing me about working with Heath Ledger, or thoughts that I had on what I call the new Hollywood and creating content in the Mediaverse. So I was on panels at film schools. And what occurred to me through this process is, as an entrepreneur, the definition is being a risk taker. A risk taker to effectuate enterprise, a risk taker to capitalize and create value or a business really from nothing except one's own vision. But what occurred to me, being an entrepreneur and following my instincts, it's actually the opposite. Following our intuition isn't risky. It's only risky from the outside. It's a judgment that others make, like, wow, that sounds really risky. I wouldn't do that, or I couldn't do that, or I can't see that vision. But really our biggest risk is not following our intuition. So this insight came to me actually years later, but the best we have is following our own hearts. If you don't follow your own heart, then the best you're doing is following someone else's insight, intuition, or their hearts. And chances are, like most people, they're actually not following their own intuition. They're following what their parents told them, what their boss tells them, what the latest pundit is telling them. And so everyone just ends up following a leader that they don't even know what the source is. So following one's own intuition, one's own inner resources is actually the less risky proposition. So the seeds of what I'm doing now is actually, they were sown in Hollywood. I had a web series. I wrote and produced about 50 episodes. It was called Hollywood Drive and Talk. And I would drive to pitch meetings and agencies and offer little business wisdom in little 3 or 4 minute episodes about driving the conversation in Hollywood. And I'll just give you a little preview. Content engine almost ran over a squirrel. Missed them. I don't know why animals do that. They wait until your car is right on top of them, and then they dart. I think as we go through life and we work so hard to accomplish our goals or those things that we find or we think will be rewarding, those things we hope will be meaningful, we start to contemplate what it is we're leaving behind. And this episode was actually called Spiritual Legacy. And what I talk about is we have business legacies and wealth legacies and familial legacies. But the thing that really lasts the ages is our spiritual legacy, and how our spirit and the things that we're doing in this life that connect with other people's inner essence, their inner core, their spirit within them, that is what continues to resonate. You could have a business legacy, but for example, like Apple, okay, or Ford. Is Ford going to be around in another 100 years? So you've got, a company that's around for a century, or a wealth that is ephemeral, but really it's our spiritual legacy that's so important. So even while I was in Hollywood, I was touching on this and kind of reaching for these bigger themes. This was my house in Malibu. I was very much living the dream. And then I even got to meet Tim Robbins, who was the star of the movie The Player that had initiated my entire journey. So yes, living the dream by any stretch. I had manifested from just being a kid who saw the movie and was inspired to move out to Hollywood with no contacts there. And I went from reading about people in the trades to being in the trades, to having a film deal, to putting movies together, to living the Hollywood dream. And so this got me to contemplate success. And success is externally sought in most cases, right? We seek for financial rewards or adulation, acknowledgement, promotion, compliments or endorsement from our family, from our friends, coworkers, but really it's an internal triumph. So we know when we've done well. Someone can say, wow, you're a huge success, but if we haven't lived up to our own expectations, then we're not feeling successful. So no matter what the trappings are on the outside, success is an internal triumph, not an external one. Creating value for others. So here's a definition of success. Creating value for others while doing what makes us feel inherently valuable. Right? So it's something that's externally expressed, but we feel it, again, internally within us. And we are creating value for someone else, but in the actual act of doing it, we're feeling inherently valuable. Success is the feeling along the journey. And the reason I bring this up is I was living the dream. I was feeling valuable for a time. I, was getting external validation and was feeling somewhat triumphant throughout the process. But then I reached a point where there was just something missing. There was a lack of significance, a lack of meaning, a lack of something to really sink my teeth into going forward. And so I continued along the road as life takes us, and this particular road led me to, this is Highway 1 or Pacific Coast Highway, and it took me to Big Sur, California. So I moved away from Hollywood and away from Malibu, and I moved into nature, where I spent time communing with animals, meditating, taking photographs of things like rainbows and clouds and sunsets and turkey vultures. I lived on a ranch with a community. It's a beautiful 500-acre ranch on the coast of Big Sur. So I went from that epic screenings and movie theaters of Hollywood to the real theater of Mother Nature, which was awe-inspiring. I spent time with the redwoods. I created a little mini video series called The Moment of Truth, where I would share inspiration and insight. You can see the redwoods inspired me multiple times, standing in front and within and around these creatures who are some of the oldest creatures on the planet, sharing their wisdom. And this was a period of tremendous transformation for me. I also engaged in different spiritual practices. I sweated with Esalen tribal elders, Native American elders in a sweat lodge. I danced 5 rhythms practice. I became a Tai Chi and Qigong practice leader, and really spent time reconnecting with myself. Also resulted in the book. This is the original manuscript that got fine-tuned into you feel differently or you have your own insight. But it's really about connecting to something greater than ourselves. Connecting to something greater than ourselves. So that sense of awe or inspiration, or if we're creative, we're all creative beings, but if you work creatively as a writer, as an artist, as a designer, we've all had that experience of flow. A musician, for example, where it's almost like the universe is playing through you, right? You're just a vessel for the creativity that's coming in that wants to uniquely express itself through you. So something that connects us to something greater than ourselves. The other thing I learned on the journey is that leaps of faith are rewarded. So when I started having misgivings about working in Hollywood and that it wasn't completely fulfilling, I knew that something wasn't working. I just didn't know what would work. So I had a mantra that kept coming up over the last couple of years there, like, this is not working for me, this is not working for me. It used to work for me, it was working great, it should be working, what's wrong with me? But I didn't know what the answer was. I didn't know where to look. I didn't know what my new community or sense of place would be, but I took a leap of faith, and it was tremendously rewarded and continues to be even now. Trusting in the universe. I'll touch on trust in a minute, but this idea that the universe has our back, right? That taking the leap, the universe rewards us for giving us its trust, actually. It doesn't coax you to trust it and then drop you on your head. It didn't bring you this far to drop you on your head. It really wants you to believe in its divine forces of support. The universe itself it's infinitely creative. It has unlimited organizing power to deliver our optimal result in the most efficient manner possible. So when we know what we want, even when it starts as a sense of lacking and a desire like, I'm not sure what it is that I need, but I know I need more than this, or I need something different than this, the universe goes to work. It's infinitely creative. It can organize everything instantly, simultaneously, without any effort. It's not going to waste time. It's going to give you its most efficient path. Even if it doesn't feel efficient for us, it's the most efficient path. Because the universe has the entire universe to run. So it's not going to waste time throwing up obstacles and playing around and beating around the bush. It's going to direct you in unexpected ways to your optimal result. And what's your optimal result? It's beyond what our human imagination can conjure even. So we may have the perfect version of our life partner, or the perfect house that we want to live in, or the perfect attributes, for what we want to see. But really, the universe has something probably even more optimal in mind that comes in an unexpected package. So our role in that is to not be what I call a this tyrant, where we're saying, it's this job, it's this deal, it's this project, it's this person, it's this opportunity. When really, the universe is far more creative than we are, even though we are creative. And so it can conjure things beyond our wildest imaginings if we have the presence. We're just a wisp of consciousness having an ephemeral experience. So just like the house that can feel so substantial and robust, and you have all these memories in it, and then it's just dust. It's gone. And so what do you hold on to? What do you have? Only the love that you created, the memories you created, and that's what you take with you, because you can't take anything else with you. And this is the life journey. It's all about letting go. I think our lives, it is an experience of that, because anything that we're attached to, any of the people, any of the organizations that we dedicate ourselves to, even this body that we're identify as ourselves, we'll cast it all off. So I think all of life is really about ultimately having experience, but not with a closed hand, having an open palm, because it will all pass. And so living life moment to moment and enjoying this ephemeral experience each and every moment, each and every day, is what it's really about. Because we're just a wisp. So was this a sign? Indeed it was. A sign of new beginnings, not endings. I mean, endings are really beginnings. So I moved to Amsterdam, and again, wonderful unfoldings happen. Just like the Big Sur experience set me up to have this communing with nature, communing with community, creating the book that I wanted to now share with the world. And so I was doing that in bookstores, on panels, speaking engagements, entrepreneurial conferences. But as fate would have it, just like everyone else, experiencing the unmentionable year and a half or two of lockdown, all of those things got swept away. So again, what had been working and was incredible and magical and rewarding was no more. And so I found myself having to go within again and reflect, I think, as many of us did during this period, and really ask ourselves, okay, what am I doing here, specifically in this location? What is my purpose? And that led me ultimately to move the energy and to seek for more experience and connection and sunshine and warm weather. And so that brought me to beautiful Lisbon, where again, the magic continued to unfold. I mean, out of nowhere. So I came here last September with 2 suitcases, no connections, no place to stay, and just an inkling that Lisbon was it. I had that feeling prior when I went to Big Sur and felt like this is really the place for me. Amsterdam, okay, this is the place for me. This is where I'm gonna really decamp for the long term. Nope. Lisbon is the spot for me. So I showed up with my suitcases. I bounced around in various hotels. I started to meet people, build community, build friendships. And then before I knew it, I was actually became a person of Lisbon. If you know this fantastic series, there are a few of us here today. But the through line is people who live in Lisbon, but it's designers, creators, writers, all Lisboetas, and it can be expats, it can be locals, and Stephen O'Regan picks each of the people of Lisbon and then does a video portrait of them, and then they publish an article in Amensagem, which is a publication here. But how did that happen? Serendipity. It's like these amazing, magical unfoldings. So ultimately, is spirituality essential to our success? Well, if we look at spirituality as personal development, which I do, we're developing ourselves. Personal development really is business development. So working with entrepreneurs or business leaders, whatever's going wrong in the business is actually something they need to solve within themselves, within their own lives, right? So as we develop our skills as individuals, as we develop ourselves, as we develop the various intuition, the trust, the ability to communicate and connect with people, well, that enhances our business. So personal development, as you're spending time developing yourself, you're actually really developing your business, because your business is an extension of you. You have to grow deep to grow up. Again, this is the deepening of oneself. It's like a tree putting roots down. The deeper the roots, the higher the tree can reach. So, same kind of thing. We can put roots down in a community, we can put roots down in our business organization, if we're working for a company, but putting down personal roots and reaching into the depths of like who we are and getting to know ourselves allows us to really grow up. The extension of this is that in order to connect with others, we can't really do that unless and until we connect with ourselves. So this was part of the presencing exercise that we did earlier, which is when you're introducing yourself to someone and you're looking at them to try and find and give them a genuine compliment, you really have to be present. You have to be the observer. You have to find something authentic to connect with the other person. And so you're also in awareness of yourself and how their presence is affecting you. So I'll get to this in a second, but this is one of what I think of as spiritual precepts. But really, the answer is within you, whether you feel like these are spiritual truths. Okay, power trait number 1. Something every entrepreneur must offer. This was our practice earlier, presence. This is the most powerful gift you can give anyone. It makes a tremendous difference in anyone's day, in anyone's life. If you can just sit with someone and just give them your undivided, full attention, your presence, it's an invaluable gift. And it's so rare these days to actually receive that. So this I find, and this was acknowledged numerous times in Hollywood and even recently, because I still do business in Hollywood, but just to really listen and be present with someone and connect with them, and not be on your phone, not be distracted, but in the presence and having your full attention on them. This is actually an acting exercise. When actors are really in the scene, it all comes from listening, actually. Performance is enhanced just when they put their attention on the other actor. So if you're listening to what their line, what they're saying, then your line just comes naturally. It's like the right next thing comes up just by being present and listening. So this is what I'm saying. Awareness of the self and attention on the other. This is like the magic formula for life. So if at each and every moment we are in touch with ourselves and how we're feeling, but then also have our attention on the other person. There's an exercise that I lead in other workshops where it's eye gazing. Have you ever done eye gazing? So this is something you can try, where you just sit across from someone. I mean, we can do it here if you're willing to do it. But you sit across from someone and you just look into their eyes without speaking, just for a minute. Should we try it? I think we should try it. Yeah? Let's do it. You're a good group. Let's do this right now.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. So you just turn. So make eye contact. Just hold their eyes. Everybody try and find someone. And just maintain eye contact. Exactly. And so don't speak. Try not to speak. Just sit through the awkwardness. Just so it can feel awkward, it can feel funny. So, but feel into, as you're looking at this other face, what is it they're feeling? What is it they're feeling? What are they thinking? And then the reflexive part, how am I feeling? Are they feeling what I'm feeling? Are they connecting with me? And And you see it becomes this circular connection that evolves. And it's like these moments, you guys are doing amazing. So again, this magic formula, and it's okay if it's awkward and laughter, but it's awareness of the self. How are we feeling within our own being, while our attention is on the other person? So we really can't do both of these things in concert. Okay. Thank you Does anybody want to share their experience? Would anyone like to share? Is that? I see some. Want to share how that was?
Susan and I had great eye contact, and after the moment I did feel this actually circular energy coming out of my crown, like this. And then after this gazing, I shared with Susan that I felt from her this very playful energy. And just, yes, absolutely. And then she shared to me, I feel like you were searching, and I said, yes. So, that's it.
It's a beautiful example. Thank you for sharing that. So, in about a minute, you got that sense of each other with nonverbal communication just by locking eyes, right? And just by allowing whatever arises to arise and acknowledging that, like you're observing it, and your attention's on the other person, and you're observing, what am I feeling? So this is super, super powerful as a human being, and again, by extension, as an entrepreneur. If you can offer this to your clients, customers, colleagues, employees. Well, so maybe you don't step aside and do eye gazing, but the idea of being present, awareness of your own feelings while your attention is on the other. So how do we get there? By tuning in. Okay, this is another exercise we can do. I think we'll go. Has everybody meditated?
Yes.
Everyone? Yes? Okay. So this is a very simple meditation, which I'll just highlight. This is usually how I start, but since everyone was already present. But meditation doesn't have to be anything more than tuning into your senses. That's it. Just do a catalog as you sit there. What am I tasting? What am I seeing? What am I smelling? What am I hearing? What am I feeling? And then I like to take it to the sixth sense, which is like, what's the vibe in the room, right? Because every room you go into, every office building, every meeting, there's like a vibe. So is it expectation? Is it excitement? Is it dullness? What is the vibe? So do the sixth sense meditation if you ever find your mind, if you're feeling scattered, if your mind is wandering, to just, again, bring yourself into presence. So that's being in the moment. So that's presence. So being in the moment, we all know who this is, right? Richard Branson. So his whole philosophy, why he does anything, why he starts any company, backs any venture, dives in anything, it's all about fun. Will it be fun? Does it sound like fun? Are we having fun? And what is fun? Fun brings you into the moment. You cannot be having fun and not be in the moment. You cannot be laughing and not be exactly where you are. And so this, I think, is his secret weapon, because if everybody's having fun, they are with you. They are present. They are in the moment. So fun is another key. And then finally, centering in our awareness. Gandhi had tremendous wisdom, left a huge spiritual legacy. I think he would be like 100 and almost 50 years old at this stage. Again, this is what I was talking about, spiritual legacy really having resonance. So we've all been in that place where we have too much to do, where we've got a million phone calls to return, our to-do list is just pages long, and we also feel scattered, we're not centered. And when we're in that state, we really only have one task. Do we know what it is? Get centered, right? So it's very simple. If we do everything from our center, it will be done well, with quality, with thought. And if we're racing around doing things not from a centered place, it's good. We're going to have scattered results. This is another great axiom Gandhi called it happiness. I think of it as success. And it's just very simple. When what you think, what you say, and what you do are in alignment. And the source of much unhappiness is when we're thinking no, we're saying yes, our bodies are doing something different. It's incongruous, it's not in alignment. Or we're thinking no, we say it, but then we do something different. I'm not going there, I'm not doing this, I'm refusing, I'm putting up boundaries, and then you get asked and you cave and you do it. So happiness, success is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in alignment. Just like the chakras. You want the chakras all in alignment. And if you consistently do things that are misaligned, this is, if you've ever had, problems with your throat or, in other areas of your body, often that shows you energetic misalignment, right? So you have to get things back into alignment. Okay, power trait number 2, something no entrepreneur can do without. Intuition. So, does everybody have a sense of how their intuition speaks to them? Because I think it's probably different for every person, and even for me, it's different at different times. It can be a feeling, it can be a dream. The universe is always communicating with you, right? If you're the universe and you want to get a message across, and our intuition is that connective tissue, how would you reach you? Each person has a unique way that they like to be communicated with. It could be somebody passing you in the street, uttering something, you read something shows up on television, you hear a song on the radio, right? You have a dream about it, or just that intuitive voice that comes to you when you're alone in nature. Entrepreneurs lead from within. Do people know Horton Hears a Who? Yeah, okay, so this is a famous Dr. Seuss children's book about an elephant that hears a tiny little voice, he thinks, on a tiny little flower, and no one else can hear it, so no one else believes him. And there's a whole community of who's that are in trouble and need his help, but he's the only one that hears it. So our inner voice, our intuition is kind of like Horton hearing his who, right? I mean, the Buddhists, they call it the still, quiet voice. It's like, if you think of your inner voice or your intuition as like a best friend, and they're your co-pilot, and they've always got your best interest at heart, but they want to tell you something number one reason I think we ignore our inner voice? Anybody want to happen to guess? Has everyone experienced ignoring their inner voice, even though they have? Yeah. Certainly have, right? And people will say, like, well, intuition, I don't know, I may not have that. I don't have that thing. Well, I think we've all had that where everything looks good on paper, it's perfect on paper, but there's just some nagging suspicion we have that it's not going to work out, or the person isn't the right person, or, I don't know, the job that looks like it's the perfect job, there's just something off, but you can't rationalize what it is. And so you look for validation among family, friends, and they all encourage you to do it because from the outside it looks perfect. And then, you start dating the person, or you go on the trip, or you take the job or the assignment, and then down the road, something goes really haywire, and it ends up being a huge mess, and you're like, I knew it. So what part of you is the I knew it? So that's our intuition. So we ignore our inner voice, I believe, primarily because it speaks in our voice, right? However you speak to yourself, that's how your inner voice talks, because it is you. So it's this deeper part of you, it's a knowing part of you, but very rarely is it the voice of God or the universe. Don't date that person. Usually it's your voice, telling you. And so it's easy to ignore as like, oh, this is just chatter, self-talk. So we need to learn to recognize and distinguish what is our inner voice from, the little chattering voice. So we've got to give our inner voice a megaphone, which happens in the story, and so that we can hear it and heed it. Okay. How does your intuition speak to you? How can you enhance it? These are skills to cultivate as an entrepreneur. All right, something every entrepreneur must learn. This is really what I think the core of the talk is today. Resilience.
Bye.